everybody, I hope you're enjoying this great Wednesday, or maybe some people it's Thursday early in the morning. Um, I have another block for you, which is this one right here. And this one is not sewed together because I'm going to show you something. But this block is made with those butterflies from the other block. But there's something very unique about it. I'm going to show you how these blocks are made. You make 4 little blocks to create a big one. This is how I'm going to be sewing this block together. But I wanted to show you how to do this block, and my pin's poking through and it just stabbed me. I keep pins on this board just in case I need them. And I punched them through too far. Okay. This block here, if you look at it, it has kind of a 3D effect to it. Can you imagine that on a quilt? How amazing that would be. And again, this is another one you can do where you only need 2 colors. You have a light and a dark. However, because of what the quilt is, let me see if I can get you close up here. I would suggest using high contrast colors, and one of the colors being either a black or a really dark red. I put it up against, so I'm just going to do it on red and with another color here. And I didn't like it as well as the black, and I also tested it against white, and it did not give me the effects I was looking for. But I'll show you how. I'll change my camera view change my camera view, and I'll show you how I put these blocks together. And it's a simple block. And then I'm going to show you something about these 4 blocks, and there's actually 4 blocks that we do, of why I did not sew them together, even though I'm pretty set on this this 3D illusion that it gives you when you put these blocks this way. So let me change my camera view and go from there. Okay. We got our table set up, and my cat is running around on the floor down there. Fine, stop. He's running around on the floor down there. I don't know what he's got. He's probably got a piece of fabric. Yeah. Hopefully the dogs don't start their singing technique things that they often do. But back to the belt block that I'm going to show you how to do. And what you're going to need to do is you're going to need 2. Now I did mine at 4 inches, 4 by 4. If you want to do yours bigger, you can. You can use charm packs, which are 5 inch, but you're going to need to create 2 of each color. And again, I chose my little butterflies. I love this fabric. It's the ultimate. And then I chose black. I chose black as the opposite color. But again, you're going to make 2 squares of each color. And mine are 4 by 4. You can, whatever size you want. And that size will dictate how wide your strips are going to be. Because you're going to need strips for these. And my block is 4 inches square, and so I put my strips as 2 inches. 2 inches wide. And if you do like a trump pack, which is 5, your strip then could be used off of a jelly roll, which is 2.5 inch. So for these purposes, my blocks are 4 inches. And then you're going to need strips from this color, and then your strips from the black. And just like in the last block, you're going to put your strips on the opposite corner. Don't get these confused with the last box because there is no snowballing in this. These are the only pieces you need. So let's set these two aside for right now. Let's set these two ones along for right now. And we're going to put these over here. We're going to just put these strips around our two black. And you're just going to go sew here, here, all the way across, and all the way across. And just like this. Kind of even it up on the sides. If it's over, no big deal, because you will score these blocks up later. So it's really forgiving. Okay, let me get these sewed all the way around and we'll be right back. I did want to mention I sewed one piece and left the tail. Let me get the string off here. When you're, I mean, you can cut your strips to where they're exactly 4 inches long or whatever. But when you have a strip like this, you can, instead of cutting it off right away, you can just pull it to the other side. The only thing I have issues with black, it shows every little nook and cranny, little lint pieces on it. You just kind of match it up, and you can sew it without cutting it, as long as it matches. You know, you just got to get it matched up, and then use 1/4 inch seam. Just a little shortcut from, you know, it's just what I do sometimes. And this one I just cut in half. And it's sewed on both sides. Yeah, you'll have to cut these, and then it's not hard. It's just, I kind of do like that, and then just cut it straight across. And, you know, don't throw your pieces away unless you don't keep scraps, but I never throw my little pieces away. I wait till I get enough, and then I make a big piece of fabric. I didn't go on very straight, but that's alright. And you just open it up. And again, these are very forgiving blocks because you can square them. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And then we're just going to sew it again to the other side. Just make sure that your seam goes up underneath. When it's going under, make sure your seam is facing away from you. In other words, the seam in this particular case goes to the right. You just want to make sure it's away from you. Same with the other side. You don't want it turned under. And just cut that off. You can cut it off now or cut it off later. And again, let's put these in a little scrap bin. Now we're going to put one more to the other side. And remember, we're doing 2 blocks of each color. Cut that off. Cut the screws off. Okay. So we now have a block that opens up, looks like this, minus the strings, minus the strings. Okay? You sewed that on the left, the right, top, and the bottom. So let me get this one sewed, and we'll be right back with you. Okay, here's the two that are done with the black in the center, and then of course you're going to iron them. But let me turn. These are identical. Again, you're going to sew the left, the right, the top, and the bottom. So now you can put these ones aside for just put them aside. Get them out of sight, out of mind. Then you have your two other ones. Mine happen to be the butterflies. You're going to do the same exact thing as you did the other one, except this case you're going to use the dark. So again, you're going to sew on both sides. And again, these squares that I have, the squares are 4 inches, and then my strips are 2 inches wide. So let me get these sewed all the way around. Okay, now that we have all 4 of these blocks done, with the fabric on all 4 sides of them, we have our 2 blacks, and here's where the fun part begins. What we're going to do with these 4 blocks is we're going to cut them diagonally. Try to aim for the 2 corners here, and then the here and the end. It might be just me, but black is sometimes a little hard to work with because it's hard to see. So let's see if we can get these as close to the corners as possible. It's not the end of the world, as I've said many times before, if it's not perfectly right down the center and open. We just want to get them cut like a triangle and separate. Okay, we're going to do that to all 4 of these blocks. And again, I'll show you how to do it on this one. And this one I did. See how it's a little wonky? How that happens is I needed to make it wonky so that you could see if when you're pressing with the iron, if you instead of just pressing down, if you push real hard, it will create this wonkiness. And again, that's no big deal. You could straighten it out or leave it, and I'm not going to straighten it out. Yeah, I could go back to the iron and straighten it out. So again, you're just wanting to see if you can go to this corner, through those corners, and then through the top. That's why I like these type of fabrics, or these type of patterns, because they are very forgiving. Or they're forgiving in the terms of, yeah, see this one I just pressed, so it's, you know, it doesn't look square. Yeah, there it is, it's square. See, it's square. They're pretty forgiving in that you can trim these down. Once you have the blocks all done, you can trim them down. And again, just corner to corner. And you just pile them up. You'll understand why here in a moment. They're just, again, that's why black has an issue. It shows everything. And your little threads, and it'll show pretty much everything. I love working with black, but it just shows everything. Okay. Now there's our blocks. Okay. Let's get our blocks. These here. These here. Okay. Here's our blocks, and I dropped one. Let's get them all semi-organized here. You guys are going like, yeah, let's just get them all semi-organized. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take one where the lighter fabric is on the outside, and we're going to sew it to the other one. Does that make sense now? We're going to sew them together like this. So we end up with one that looks like that. So let me get these 4 sewed together. You just have to remember when you're sewing them, try to, and sometimes this is not always possible, try to match these two corners here. Try to match them as close as possible. Okay, we have all 4 of our blocks sewn together. Okay, and at this point, if you notice, even though the 2 blocks, they are identical. And again, just make sure at this point you're going to see a little bit of magic happening. And this is the reason I like this block. Okay, I'm going to put this block on here so you can see. So it's an identical duplicate of the one I showed you first time. You have to go look at it. Again, you know, you'll need to square these blocks before you sew them together. I was in a kind of a hurry, wanted to get this done really quick, so my blocks are kind of wonky. Okay, remember, there's the square. There's the square. Okay, just move, whoops, wrong direction. Okay. Okay, that's the one that you seen. Okay, I don't know if it will fall off of here. More than likely will. I just didn't want to fall off. Okay, and again, mine are not squared. Now, here is the magic of this block. We see it this way. Now, if we turn and put all of the black in the center, watch what happens. You still have that square, but it takes on a new shape. You still have that outside square, but it also puts this big X in here. And you can do the same thing with putting your light color fabric in the center, like this. And it'll create the same thing. You still get that square, but it looks like that. Or you can do flip these this way, flip these this way, and you get something like that. Or you can flip it up like this and flip it up like this, and that's what you get. Or you can completely turn these around where they're matching, and you have, if you look, you have an arrow going this way and an arrow going this way, and then 2 arrows also coming together in the center. Or let's put this one this way, this one this way, and you get something that looks like that. I love this block. It's just it creates. There is so much versatility to these specific blocks, and this just happens to be the one I like the most. I'm not sure why. I like this one the most. So and I just wanted to use the same colors as I did in the other one because I think they look amazing. So let me switch the camera and I'll be right back. Now you understand why I didn't sew them together, so that you could see that however you put the blocks together is going to change what the blocks look like. I just like this one with the square this way, and this is the other one still sitting on the board down here where I left it. But how, if you look at it, it has a 3D effect to it, where it looks like this box, this square, is sitting on top of the other fabric, and it just has that 3D effect, and it's pretty amazing. You can actually still change it if you wanted it to look a little differently. See, the box is still there, but it just looks different. I didn't care for this one. I like this one. That's just the one I happen to like. But again, you know, my blocks aren't exactly square. They'll get squared up before they ever get sewed together. But I thought, yeah, I don't know, I just find it a really cool and interesting block that you have so many variations you could do. Like, you have people that say want, you know, example, you have two kids. Both kids could have the same block or same type of block. You just change what it looks like. You just change, you could have the same exact colors, but just change how the block looks, and that will give a different effect for the whole quilt. And the blocks are big enough, or you could actually make them bigger by using like a charm pack, which is a 5-inch square. You just have to make sure you have enough of the colors to also make your strips. So you'd have to have the same charm pack, if you're going to use a charm pack, a color in a charm pack that you have, say, on your 2.5-inch strips. Or, like I do, I just cut all mine out of yardage. That's why sometimes it's not exact. But that's the way that goes. So I hope everybody enjoyed this block. And again, if you have any questions, please leave it in the comment section, and I will try to answer them. In the meantime, everybody, see you in the chats out there, and everybody have a great, positive rest of your day. Thanks, guys. Bye.